New OGs. The New OGs is a State and Madison entertainment production and is brought to you by Solar Masters. We have a new sponsor kicking us off here.
Solar Masters!
Yeah!
Masters of your solar!
Solar Masters is helping homeowners in Illinois take advantage of a program that lets them get solar power at no cost. Not only homeowners, but they now have a commercial side. So if you own a building in Illinois and you're looking to get solar panels on that, we can help you with that as well over at Solar Masters. If you're a single-family homeowner or a business owner who owns your property in the state of Illinois, you can lower your electric bill, raise the value of your property, and actually do something good for the environment. Sometimes without paying out a single dollar out of your pocket to do so. Absolutely on the homeowner side, most definitely on the commercial side too. So they can only work with you if they can save you money, which is pretty amazing. Solar Masters is an authorized SunPower dealer. They're an American panel maker with over 30 years of solar experience, and they even have a referral program that pays out as much as $500 per referral. So you can actually get you can refer people to Solar Masters. If they go solar, you get $500. It's pretty amazing.
$100.
Hell yeah.
500
That's
is pretty good.
Paper,
yeah.
baby.
This is a minority-owned business, one of the first, if not the only, minority-owned solar company in the state of Illinois, which is pretty cool. So head on over to www.gosolarmasters.com and get in contact for a free consultation, or hopefully to refer someone you know.
Bobby,
we are
so
also,
I just want to get this straight. I just want to make sure that people got the facts straight.
Yes,
you
sir.
Are telling people right now.
Right now.
That they can help the environment.
They can help the environment.
Save some money.
They can save money on their
bill.
bill.
They get $500 if they know somebody else with a house.
If they know somebody else with a house or even a commercial property, they can get $500 minimum for referring us to them if they go solar. And especially,
that's almost as good as a hand job right there. I mean, that is damn. That's almost as good as a hand job as far as I'm concerned. So.
It's pretty close with the money you save. Also, go to People of Comedy on Facebook.
Yay.
See all the great shows they've got offered there. Check in daily. They've got new, fresh podcasts you can watch and listen to. They have been on top of a lot of other things going on a social justice side here, both in Chicago and all over the country. Make sure you catch up with them and see everything happening. Also, check out Zanies.com, right? Zanies is back. We're still with Zanies here. Zanies is through August. We've got Zanies here. Zanies is alive and well. They are doing their shows with great social distancing. They've got masks and the whole thing going on. Please make sure you get over to Zanies.com, find whatever tickets they have for their shows. You can order from your seat, which is pretty cool. So make sure you do that and get over to Zanies pretty soon. What's going on, fellas? How are we doing?
Hey, Bobby, you know what's zany?
What's
you know
zany?
What's How serious they take social distancing.
Oh, my God.
Damn.
Oh, man. There it is.
Book it.
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. That's the ad right there. How you feeling, X?
I'm feeling groovy, man. I fried chicken in the air fryer yesterday. My world has changed.
Oh yeah, your first air fryer chicken frying going on.
First air fryer chicken fry, no flour, so it's like healthy. It's delicious. It's crisp. I made like a ton. Like you haven't seen those strips that they have where the chicken is like leg quarters.
Right.
You get like 8 or 9 of them. That's huge, right?
Yeah.
I cooked all of those and a same size thing of wings. Now I did it because it was convenient, and I did take me like 4 or 5 times to cook all of it. And I was like, man, I overcooked. And then my son walked over, ate a piece, and was like, Dad, this chicken is really good. I was like, I'm straight. I'm straight. That chicken good as gone. Like
we're covered. We're covered. We got it.
If it's some after the show, I will be shocked.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right. Oh, is he in the house with the chicken right now?
He's in the house with the chicken. He's alone with the chicken right now. There's nothing stopping him from eating all the chicken, and he has done that before. I have left him alone with the food and found out that I had to make something else to eat.
Yeah. Fortunately, the other person who's in my house eats a very small amount of food, and so usually I cook extra.
Tiny person.
Yeah, I cook extra with the knowledge that that just means extra for me later. But yeah, man, the air fryer is dope. I've been now that my oven is cooking at the right temperature, I've been crushing stuff in my oven. I've been really branching out. So I made some breakfast for dinner last night.
Now that your oven's at the right temperature, you had to adjust it?
Yeah, so it was cooking at 75 degrees short of what it was supposed to be. Like the first few months I lived in this house, I didn't do a lot of cooking in the oven. I was cooking on the stovetop a lot. And so recently, obviously, we're all at home. So I'm like, well, let me see what new shit I can make. and I started trying to cook in the oven, and all my shit was taking a long time. It was getting done, but it was taking forever and wasn't cooking right. I'm like, am I just bad? Like, am I just bad at cooking stuff in the oven? Because I was trying these new recipes, and I'm like, maybe I'm just screwing something up. And then finally, I was like, let me get a oven thermometer and see if like maybe something's actually wrong with the appliance. And 75 degrees off.
Wow. So did you just add 75 degrees to every temperature?
No, I had them come fix it, man. There was an issue with the actual like temperature setting in the back. So like it was saying it was ready like way ahead of time and then just stopping. So like it'd get to a temp where like the whatever the electronics that were controlling it decided, oh, we're there. So we're not going anymore. I don't, me and electronics shit.
I'm so glad that you said it like that, because on this, of the three of us on this show, I'm the least tech savvy. And I'm willing to readily admit, I don't know how the fuck that thing works, man. I don't know what's going on. I just know, like, I press buttons and do. Drop some chicken in there, 35 minutes later, fried chicken.
Yeah, there's some type of a set programmed unit that does a thing. And it does that thing over and over again. And whatever numbers you set it at, it makes it do that thing. I don't know how that works. I don't know who set that. Somebody made little dots on a little piece of silicone board, and all of a sudden that's how that works forever. I don't know.
Man, I'm trying to tell you, the air fry business right now is
yeah,
it is booming. That is right. It's like right up there with sourdough as like the item of the pandemic.
Yeah. Well, it's there are a bunch of different kinds, and depending on whether you have like $70 or whether you have like $300, you could get one. You know what I mean? If you're a person who lives alone, you can get one. They have real small ones. You can get, but like if you get one, you can also fit like a chicken in it. You know what I mean? Like the whole chicken.
So Bobby, you know how I always joke about that we live in a simulation and shit like that, right?
Right.
I've been wanting to buy one. I saw one. I've been stalling, like looking at brands and stuff, because I always try to get a deal. I am who I am.
Right.
And right before, literally the night I was gonna go get it a Sunday morning, that Saturday night, my cousin goes, "Hey, I heard you want an air fryer. Got one for you." And I just have an air fryer, and that's as far as I'm gonna go with that story. Point being,
even saying the person was related to you is too much,
But thank you to the producers of my program,
right,
for just hooking me up with the air fryer and not making me use my World Fantasy dollars to get it. I appreciate that. Help my character arc along a little bit.
Speaking about helping people along, I know in the sponsors we talked about People of Comedy. They have a GoFundMe up running right now. I want to make sure I mention that. They are raising money to help improve the studio. That is still going. I'm actually wearing something designed by some people.
Yeah, baby.
The People of Comedy. So if you got this on camera, this is
I love that show so much, man.
This is a young Michael Jordan in the Biggie pose with the Biggie outfit. I'm super proud of that. I got that. Danny Callis, who's the man whose name you must write with asterisks.
Yeah.
The reclusive godfather of Chicago comedy is the designer behind this shirt. So you should go to, what's the website they go to, James? If they want to get this?
We are at 90sbullshirts.com.
Yeah. These all started coming out when The Last Dance was coming out, and we were all in pandemic mode. So go over there and get one of those. But it's we just can't get out of this, man. Every time a new week comes, we keep waiting for the new other thing we can get into a discussion about, and we end up back in the same spot. We were we were just getting ready to just kind of roll into this Republican National Convention and start arguing, watching these people kind of blow themselves up on national TV, and the Jacob Blake situation happens.
You want to know, again, I know this is just coincidence. I'm not insane, but I'm just sharing my life and shit with y'all.
Yeah.
My girl lives in Wisconsin, and she was advising me on Wisconsin police and how and where I should travel and stuff like that. Literally, I want to say Sunday, the day dude got shot. She was telling me, hey, you probably shouldn't stop these places, this and this and this. And I'm literally I'm driving through Wisconsin as she's telling me this. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, cool. Appreciate you. Woo, woo, woo. Get home that night. That shit happened. Yeah. It's insane from every aspect of it. I mean, it's insane that somebody that has their back to you is such a threat that you shoot 7 times. That I
Yeah,
I don't even.
there's a lot of confusion over exactly what precipitated the original issue in which police showed up. It's like, there's the phone call that came in, and apparently I heard one call that was made to the police apparently where they were complaining about him being there and he wasn't supposed to be, and that was the only phone call I've heard about, in regards to what brought the police to the scene in the first place. There's a bunch of dispute over exactly what was going on when the police got there. But there's definitely one reverse video where he's like, there's a bit of a scuffleish thing going on. And then he gets up. And some people have argued that he's fighting with the police, but it looks like he's just. So there's one argument that there were 2 women who were fighting and he was trying to break up that fight. Right. And so you can't tell in that little skirmish by the back of the car whether it's one of the women that may be involved in the issue that's going on or whether that was a cop. There's no real way you can tell what's happening. They haven't been really clear about who all was in what place in that video yet.
And it's not a terribly clear video either.
No, but there are 3 cops present, I believe. There are at least 2, if not 3 cops present. And as he gets up from the backside on the passenger side of the car, or as he kind of like appears in view from that back passenger side, he's allowed to walk a full distance to the front right part of the car, around the front of the car as cops watch him go and follow. Nobody, and if they had tased him anywhere in there, I saw none of it in the video that I saw. And if they did, still there's still steps between taser and shooting. There's
are they yelling?
Not good. You don't hear it. There's a guy across the street who's like the first initial video that came out. The video is coming from him, and so the audio is just his phone and how close he can get. And it's not clear what's happening on the backside. The audio doesn't really click in then. But there's got to be something between tase and shooting the back from trying to stop a guy who gets up at the back of a passenger side of a car and walks all the way around. There's got to be some other thing you got, especially when the guy is in he's in gym shorts and a sleeveless tee. He's not there's nothing visible about this guy that would suggest he has anything threatening about his person.
When I look at this and from versions of the story that I've heard, again, they're versions, so I'm not saying that this is the gospel or stuff, but he supposedly was trying to break up the fight. The police get there. He may have had a warrant, and
right.
I can't tell if he's in that scuffle or not, or if he's talking with the police, but I see the police charging behind him. It's hard to tell if they're yelling at him. It almost makes me feel as though he didn't even know they were there.
Yeah, he got up and walked away like they weren't trying to stop him. That's the part that's weird, because he gets up and he walks away like there's he doesn't seem to be it doesn't look like it looks like he's getting his car to leave. It looks like, okay, my work is done here. I'm gonna go get in the car and leave. It looks like so the stories that you have to decipher are, was he there to break up some disagreement that had gone on? And so when the cop showed up, he's like, well, I'm out of here. Maybe he knew he had a warrant, so he's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here before they even want to stop me.
That's what I'm thinking. That's what that walk. I'm reading a lot into the walk and bringing my own shit into it. But
sure.
I've been in a scenario like that in my life where I was like, I do not need to be here. And that's the kind of walk he had to the car. Like, I'm just going to walk to the car real quick and hop in this motherfucker and get out of here.
Right. Yeah.
He didn't look like he was running from the police. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And so, the phone call claims that he's, this guy's here and he's not supposed to be here. And who knows what that means? Maybe there's a issue between 2 women that he may have. Everything it's all speculation about that part. But the only part that is obvious to me, why they showed up, what trouble he done in, we're going to repeatedly run into this thing where we try and figure out what is the precipitous cause for why the event that is the bad event happened. Right. That's going to be this thing where you keep trying to get to. And if we start too late in the process of the things that led to this event, and then you could easily be like, well, if he had just stayed his ass at home in the first place, none of this would have ever happened. But there's a point where someone decides to call the police, and then the police show up. And now that authorities have arrived, there's a sequence of events that should take place if they're quality authorities. And that's, to me, that's the reality of what authorities showing up should be, is that, oh, the people who are here to sort out situations to protect and serve everybody are here. This should go down in a rational way. So to me, that's where it starts, is what happens when the police arrive. Whether this guy has a previous record, whether all that, that doesn't mean anything to me. It doesn't. And I don't care. It doesn't matter who the person is, whatever their previous thing is, unless they were like, oh, the previous thing that happened like a minute, like he killed 7 people 2 minutes ago, we got to stop that guy right now. That's a different story. But if you're like, oh, this guy has a warrant for something, for a fight he got in 2 years ago, that doesn't have a whole lot of bearing on what's happening when the police show up at that moment. That's not what's going on. That's just bullshit. So like, where we start figuring out where the fault should begin, or where we start judging whose fault it is, I think should be when the authorities show up, because they're the ones who have the most ability and should have the best ability to stop the bullshit in a way that doesn't mean shooting a guy 7 times in the back. That can't be the only remedy for what just happened. It would have been easier to let that dude get in his car.
Be an option unless he is attacking.
Yeah, it would have been easier to let that dude to back off. If he goes, I'm going to my car, you go, okay, well, we're going to back away because we don't know what's in your car, and we'd rather let you move up the street, or we'll call some other people to stop you up the road, or hey, this guy's leaving this way. We need a roadblock up here ASAP. Whatever the next move is that doesn't include, I'm going to run behind you and shoot you in the back. That's because it's just a ludicrous explanation as to what you think a cop should do.
Because here's the thing. And I'm not a cop, but just knowing, just thinking logically, a better position for them to do, instead of running directly behind him like they did and putting themselves in a position where they could be in danger if he was going to get a gun or something, they could have done the same thing that they did, but positioned themselves in a place that if he tried to turn around with a gun, then they would have shot him. Like, they would have had clear, like, yes, he's turning around with the gun. Because there's no way somebody's turning around like this and you see the motion with the gun. You're going to see the motion with the gun. You're there.
They could have stopped.
To put yourself when you're in a position where, if he's reaching for somebody, I saw something. Somebody said he's reaching. He could have had a knife or something. I don't know if he did. I'm saying, but the cop had a gun. There's no reason for him to be close enough to get hit with it, for a knife to do anything.
So, like,
a knife can't do anything if you're fucking 10 feet away.
What someone is trying to pitch to me when they tell me that is the best version.
10 feet.
I mean, what they're trying to pitch is that the best version of police training we have available was what we saw there. That is the best we should expect. And the reason why the shit gets burned down is because a lot of us know better. That's what happens is, like, the issue is that there's a lot of people that think that everything is equal and we're just complaining a lot. That's what they think. Because that's the only rational thing. Because if we're out here saying you don't think our lives matter and you're like, that means you're telling me that you believe that everything is as equal as could possibly be, and we're just complaining too much about it. And that is not reality for a lot of us. This is my fault with the Republican Party in its entirety. Everything that they believe has like a 95%, like the other side believes 95% of everybody else believes something different. Like the things that they hold core. For instance, like most people know that there's tons of money that the cops spend on getting tanks and shit like that. All that shit could go towards non-lethal forms of restraining people. Yeah. Like there's tons of tech out that right now. They got shit where you can shoot goop at somebody and it like locks their hands up, or ropes, it shocks. There's literally Batman gadget level type shit. It's expensive to do, but so are all these fucking tanks and shit they're buying. You know what's also expensive? What's also expensive is lawsuits. Yeah. Sorry for jumping on your joke. Sorry. No, the civil suit that's about to get landed for Jacob Blake is going to be exactly that. It's going to be, you know what I mean? Like, Wouldn't it have been cheaper to just like develop the icers they use on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. than it would have been to fucking deal with all these
Here's the
lawsuits?
thing, Bobby. They don't have to develop those. There's shit like that that exists. They have they have conventions where they do all this tech gear and stuff, and like literally, I would say like a third or maybe even half the fucking convention is all non-lethal shit that all these police officers, all these police departments have access to, but they don't buy it because nobody gives a fuck. Everybody wants to be Dirty Harry. They all want to shoot a fucking black dude.
That's the other problem, is that when it comes to the training of these police officers, again, you know, there's this argument that there's just a few, you know, just a few bad police, and that is probably true. There are, you know, when you look at the total number of police officers and you look at the total number of incidents and you go, well, man, that's, you know, if you're thinking about like actual percentages, the number doesn't look like a big one, but the reality is that that's still too many. And when the training is that these people are animals and that you have to be the predator, and there's all these hero cops, the cops are always depicted as this hero group. Like, you know, the method that you have, you know it better than anybody else because you're the only ones who are in the streets every day. That's not conducive to creating a situation that is going to be helpful in the long run, and you keep ending back at this place. It doesn't have to be that way, and you don't have to like eliminate the police on day one to make that happen. You can change how this process works.
There's 3 quick things I can think of right now that could change policing and make policing better for everybody.
Yeah,
investing heavy in non-lethal weaponry. Also, change nationally the policy. I don't know exactly how to do this, but states should start forcing their departments. There's a policy that basically, if you score high on an IQ test, you get eliminated from most departments as a candidate. They want people. They don't. It's not that they shoot for stupid people. The argument why they do it is because they think people with higher IQs aren't gonna stay police officers. They think they're just using the police department to get into politics or some other shit.
Right.
So they say those don't stick, which is probably a bullshit excuse.
Yeah.
But I think that
follow orders.
I think that should be blackballed.
Yeah.
Not black. Made illegal, basically, because I think part of the problem is they pick people who just fucking follow orders easily.
Yeah.
Like, just go back to the demonstrations early on where that white guy in Boston got knocked down, and the natural, compassionate thing to do was to help this 77-fucking-year-old dude who's bleeding out of the ear up. That you're a fucking officer. You serve and protect. The natural thing is to do is to help and aid this guy. And they literally, another guy grabbed him and like put him back in line, and they just marched straight the fuck past him.
There's been a sales pitch to a large portion of this country that like manliness is to not be weak and to not have emotion. Like, that is a thing still pitched. I still see it in threads all the time. What's that?
I think that's Alex Jones's whole brand.
That's the right's whole brand. That idea of not, anything that is seen as empathy is a sign of weakness to them, and that's just not okay. That's just not a thing that functions for them, and that's a big, huge deal in what goes on. And yeah, it's just, you can reimagine how it works, and you can call it defunding, and you can change how initial contacts are made in situations like this. Could have been handled, honestly, I think, without having to have the intervention of any type of people with lethal weapons at all. This was a solvable thing without any type of thing with. You could have had people trained to deal with domestic disputes show up and have. Even if you had to maintain a level of armed police, you could have them further blocks away or down the street, ready to just be like, you guys block off the street. We go in, we see if we can calm shit down. We don't get close enough that unless, you know what I mean? Like, this is the deal. I
have an idea. I think
so confusing. And those could still be technically police officers that walk up there. You don't have to lose your job. You just don't have to carry a gun everywhere. Anyway, your idea.
Make domestic disputes a ticket, and have the people who come for the domestic dispute. They don't have to be armed police officers. Okay.
Right.
They could literally be just there, and the people at the residence both get charged like $1,000. Like make it like drunk driving. Like it's a stiff ticket. It's not some light shit. You have a family dispute so loud, that's so violent that people have to call the cops for this shit. It's $1,000 ticket. I guarantee you, a lot of that shit will end quickly.
Well, you'll end up with a lot of
bullshit.
beaten wives. You'll end up with a lot of beaten wives who aren't going to call, though. That's a tough one, man.
No, I'm not saying, but here's the thing.
Those are usually cops' wives, so.
Yeah. We gotta have a special line for cops' wives.
Gotta have a special line for cops' wives. The thing, it's all you can see it in the situation that ended up happening out of the protests, that the mentality that they seek when they're trying to look for cops, like this kid Kyle Rittenhouse was an aspiring police officer, right?
Yeah.
That to me is exactly what aspiring police officers of today seem like. They don't seem like guys that want to be like the Joe Friday good guy cop who's like saying hi to all the store owners and like taking care of people. Like that doesn't, it seems like it's kids like this guy. Like those are the cops that I'm becoming more familiar with.
This kid literally just says, I just killed somebody.
Walking down the street.
And was like chill about it.
Yeah.
Like
was he not chill about it?
James, this is where you want to jump in? There's video of him being kind of chill about it.
So, all right.
Well, hold on. Before we do this, again, we have to frame from where the bullshit starts, right? Like, this is a 17-year-old kid who lives in Antioch, Illinois. In Wisconsin, unless you are there for a military reason, you're there for hunting, or you're there for practice, there is no open carry if you are not 18. And so the act of a 17-year-old coming to Wisconsin with a firearm to carry openly after curfew in Kenosha, that act before anything else happens is illegal in and of itself. So everything that comes after that is coming from a situation in which this kid is decided to do something illegal to arrive in the place in the first place. Is that a crazy?
So no, that. All right.
Is that wrong? Because if it's wrong,
before I say anything about this, I just want to say I'm not in support of this kid. I have gotten very little sleep because since the night this happened, I was up.
This isn't your cousin, is it?
Yeah, this is my stepbrother. I was up.
Oh, okay.
So literally, I fucking this was Sunday night, correct? All the days have ran together. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday
night.
Oh, it was Tuesday night that happened.
So yeah. I was up like playing video games with Chris Condren. Shout out Chris Condren. Chris Condren loves shout outs.
Chris Condren loves shout outs and musical comedy.
For a while, and like I signed off, and I was gonna go to bed, and I turned on my phone, and oh look, Kenosha's live. So I came back to the studio and kind of put up all these different all the windows live of like what the footage was in Kenosha. So I kind of watched all this unfold live, and it was really surreal to see. Like it was like watching the most fucked up movie I've ever fucking seen, because you see this kid multiple times on everyone's cameras all throughout the night, and I'm so uncomfortable saying this.
Just say it, man. Just say it. Hey, look, you reporting it, man.
Well, here's the thing, James. I would like to hear what you believe you saw.
Sure.
And that doesn't mean you are supporting the kid necessarily. Right. Like you're saying.
I'm trying to
clear,
be
I understand what you're saying
right now. I'm trying to be Reuters. I'm trying to just fact report it. So
be pressed, man.
What I saw was this kid in the position that he was in, assuming that he was allowed to be there legally. Let's just say, he was doing everything right. He was, when the cops would ask him where people were, which, by the way, we got to talk about the Kenosha Police Department and how they enabled all this to happen. But
pieces of shit.
He was seen throughout the night offering aid to people. There was a point in the night like he was trying to be helpful in a non-threatening way, at least on camera. And there was a point too where he was maced by someone, and he was being interviewed afterwards, and he was the question was along the line, I'm paraphrasing, but it was along the lines of like, well, why didn't you respond to that? And he was like, well, we don't have non-lethal, so I just kind of had to like stand there and take it. So he was kind of doing. There's this narrative out there that this kid went to Wisconsin to hunt people, and hey, maybe he did. Who knows? But the actions that I saw in the videos don't necessarily support that claim. Now, there are other claims to be made where we could get him in jail and like fine. Also, to that point, the ADL, the Anti-Defamation League, like as they usually do when stuff like this happens, went through all of his social media channels and his private messages, and they found zero evidence of any ties or desire to join extremist groups, which was surprising as shit to me. I thought it would be XL, you are muted. You muted yourself, bro. Unmute yourself. But
somehow you're on your side. Yeah.
So I've been trying to talk like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
James, I got one quick question.
Yeah.
How did the shooting happen? Like, I'm glad that he was.
So there were multiple shootings. So there was a first shooting, and then there were like two more, right? He killed somebody.
So throughout the night, and there's I believe it's Joseph Rosenbaum was on the protester side of things.
Is that the guy with the red shirt?
Red shirt guy, the shaved head.
Yeah, he was out of control. They kept trying to pull him back. I did see that on a lot of cameras.
He was saying the N-word a lot, which was weird. And he was begging people to shoot him. Now, does that give people license to shoot him? Of course not. But this guy was running around, and he was not representative of the entire. He was creating
a problem.
He was creating a problem, and people from both
sides.
For everybody, people from both sides, including militia, the militia members, were like trying to calm him down and be like, "Hey, no." And people on the left, obviously, of course, were like, "Calm down, stop being a fucking asshole." So, this guy. So here's kind of the timeline of the first shooting. Kyle was walking down the street, the infamous street where the car lot that the first shooting take place was on his right, to investigate something going on down the street. And this report say, because this wasn't actually on camera, we kind of see the tail end of this interaction, but everyone on the ground is saying that this Joseph guy started chasing Kyle down the street. This unarmed guy started chasing a guy with a rifle down the street.
Right.
So Kyle then goes into the parking lot, and Joseph throws not a Molotov, which is what the right is trying to say. It was
everybody says Molotov cocktail. The amount of Molotovs
with a water bottle in it, and you can clearly see the bag in all of the other videos of Joseph. Like he didn't throw a Molotov. However, he did. In that action, and I'm not a fucking lawyer, none of us are fucking lawyers, but they're gonna argue in court like that's proof of intent to harm. So this guy was chasing him down, he threw something at him, and then this is kind of where the footage gets like murky, because no one has a close-up shot of the actual first shot that killed Joseph. So Joseph, by all accounts, corners Kyle with his back up to a car. And there's a shot in the distance behind them. Then someone yells, "Fuck you." Didn't sound like Kyle. It was probably Joseph, if I'm speculating. And then boom, boom, boom. Joseph gets shot in the liver and his right lung, which is actually what kills him. The leg and then
the lung thing is a problem.
Right. And the bullet, you love that. Yeah. And then the bullet grazes his head. So everyone kind of thought he got shot in the head and killed. But if you there's
the lung will do you though. The lung like once you get the lung. Yeah, but the tough thing, you can survive the liver thing. The tough thing with the lung is that's where the air comes in and out. So once they collapse that, and then once there's like blood coming in there, you're pretty much fucked. And so here's the thing, I hear all that, and that is a great story.
Well, hold on, XL, what you want to jump in?
No, I'm gonna let Bobby do it.
I think
we're about to do the same goddamn thing.
Also, really quick, let me tie this up.
Tie it up.
So what was the big question is what happened when they were off camera, and several people who were close, because there was a reporter for some indie news source who was like right next to them the whole time, and he said that what's his name, Joseph, was like trying to swinging at Kyle, And if that is the case, this kid may have some, again, not a lawyer, but, you know, he might have some kind of claim for self-defense. Because, again, he was being pursued by this guy down the street who was begging people to shoot him.
So I got you. I got it. Right. I got it. So the thing is, that's why I was fine with you explain that, because you laid it out as what you've seen in the videos.
That's what I saw.
And all of that is fine, and it is even okay if all that actually happened that way.
Yeah.
But again, like, this is exactly what I was talking about before we even started getting into this whole thing in the Jacob Blake situation, is like when it became like when you're dealing with where the responsibility falls in the Jacob Blake situation, like when the people who have the authority to end that situation show up, that's a thing. In the case of this kid, like when his mom drove the car over the Wisconsin border.
Yeah.
I like that story. It's a fine story. It's a fine story. But like the reality is like that's an argument that everybody is going to want to twist up that dismisses the actual thing that makes none of it matter.
Right. Bobby, let me say this. Yeah. James, everything that you just said about not being a lawyer, I can solve that for you. Because you committed a felony by open carrying across the state line, because that felony, it is before you say anything, this is the exact same thing.
That's what they're going to argue.
If I stole a car, and when I stole a car, somebody tried to stop me from getting away with that car, and he pulls a gun out and he's shooting at me, and I kill him, I can't say I killed that dude in self-defense.
Right.
I was stealing
you had a gun illegally.
Car.
Right. Yeah.
You were stealing a car.
So he has you use the word he was investigating. He has no fucking place to investigate.
Right.
He's not a deputy.
He's not an investigator.
Right. Yeah. He's a fucking child.
He has no legal right in any way, shape, or form to investigate a fucking. I don't give a fuck if he's a Boy Scout. He doesn't have a right to investigate a goddamn thing.
Right.
He doesn't have. So that investigation in itself illegal. So everything after that, it's moot.
So there is now, and that was, I was super comfortable with that for a few days because, you know, again, not a lawyer, don't know this off the top of my head.
Right.
And I was like, okay, sure, he had a gun illegally. He's underage and he doesn't live there, so like, there's no point for him to be there. Now, upon further, I guess study is the wrong word, but you know, looking up some shit,
looking around some stuff,
like poking around a bit. It turns out that there is a potential modifier to this that actually allows him to do what he did. And that is nestled within the Second Amendment. It is U.S. Code. I'm going to bring it up like I know what I'm fucking talking about, which, again, I don't. 10 U.S. Code 246, militia composition and classes. And here's where it gets very messy. So Section A of Code 246 says, the militia of the United States consists of all able-bodied males at least 17 years of age, except as provided in Section 314, blah, 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 the Declaration of to become citizens, blah, blah, blah. Section B states the classes of militia are 1, the organized militia, which consists of the National Guard and the Naval Militia, and this is where it gets really fucked up and kind of scary for for court. Section 2 of Section B says the unorganized militia, which consists of members of the militia who are not members of the National Guard or Naval Militia. Now, I don't know what unorganized militia means legally, but to a layman, this title, U.S. Code 246, kind of says if you're 17 and you're part of an unorganized militia, which is what these guys labeled themselves as all night and were given complete and total carte blanche by the police to do whatever they wanted all night. That kind of falls into that category.
Except for the fact that Wisconsin has a DOJ memo that says you're supposed to be investigating open carriers out in Wisconsin.
Right.
And that if you're not 18, you're not supposed to open carry there.
And
so like,
boy, oh boy, does this not look good for the Kenosha PD, because
they
didn't ask anybody who they were or how old they were. They were totally
real thing too is like we see these riots happen and then you see these guys with guns who go stand out in front of businesses.
Yeah.
And to me, the very idea that even happens is just insanity to me, because if that's the case, then why don't we just have a Batman? Like, who gives a fuck? We should have, like, what the fuck, man? Why we might as well just like I might as well go dress up in a t-shirt with a skull on the front and just go cap motherfuckers and just be like, yeah, it's self-defense. He was gonna break into this building.
Right.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about? I'm a militia. I'm part of the unorganized militia. We go around shooting guys that try and break into buildings. That's our thing.
Exactly.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Right.
That's crazy. Hold on. Like, you have a police force for a reason. Come riot, come sunshine, come whatever the fuck. Like, that's the whole point you have a police force for, so that nobody has to go stand in front of the fucking speedway with a gun. So, like, when these cameras show, oh, well, these guys are showed up to come and protect these buildings. What the fuck are you talking about? Right. They're all breaking the law. What do you mean? Oh, yeah, my job is to protect this building. The 17-year-old who went across state lines because his mommy drove him said, what the fuck are you, my job? Your job is to go back to school that they won't let you go back to. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah. That's not a thing.
Somebody guarding the store. Guard your grade point average, nigga. Get the fuck out of here.
There's no, I mean, the whole idea that the police would roll up on any people standing outside of a business with guns just standing there and not go, guys, it's after curfew, get the fuck out of here or go to jail is insane, because if that was 10 black dudes standing in front of that store, it would be, they just shot a guy 2 days ago for walking away from the cops 7 times in the back because he may have had a knife on the inside of his car.
Right. Yeah.
And this guy, 17, is going up to the cops saying, hey, toss me water. We're out here keeping it safe tonight, which is the job that the taxpayers of this town I don't live in are paying you to do.
Right.
What the fuck are we even talking about? That is like, and now I'm going to sit here and listen to somebody try to explain to me that some guy hit him in the head with a skateboard or chased him around all night. Good. He shouldn't have fucking been there.
Right.
Every time, hold on. Every time a black dude resists arrest, there's 5,000 white motherfuckers on threads talking about play stupid games, win stupid prizes. Well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Here's your boy up here doing dumb shit. Guess what he's going to do? I hopefully win some. I don't want to hear shit about some special secret part of the Second Amendment that says white people can just go around and shoot people whenever the fuck they want. If that's the case, this whole thing is off.
Yeah,
the whole idea of it is over.
Yeah.
There is no state if we just got this like loose thing where like a militia could just show up and do shit. That's not a thing.
I mean, that sounds like the Klan, nigga.
Right. The legal
That's literally
Klan.
what the Klan is.
The legal Klan.
Just be mentally prepared. I mean, you guys are mentally prepared for more than most.
I know.
You know, you're black, but like, be prepared again for.
For the bullshit. I'm ready for the bullshit.
And
yeah.
The worst, the worst part of all this legal defense stuff is yesterday. You guys remember Nicholas Sandman, the kid who stood on the steps and with the native guy, he won all of his lawsuits against CNN and Washington Post and blah blah blah. They came out and openly stated, we are now going to represent Kyle Rittenhouse, and that scares the shit out of me, because now I'm thinking, okay, these guys, A, they beat the media, and B, they are like they look for big money afterwards. So if he gets off by some miracle to him, he fucking gets off, these guys are going to countersue. I only see this happening. They're going to countersue the media for misrepresenting what happened and win a bunch of money. Like, this is going to turn into such a firestorm. Like this
we're going to have a real problem, man, because that's going to set up a situation where all these guys are going to look justified, and it will basically...
Well, this will set off the Boogaloo.
You know, James, we joked like 5 months ago about Boogaloo Boys, and you were like, it's just not even a thing. And now they're in every protest, man.
Guess who was wrong? So... yeah, they're a thing. They're a thing now.
You got to stop underestimating white folk, man. I'm telling you.
I'm
listen,
serious, man,
they built a slavery empire for hundreds of years. You can't underestimate. Like, the thing is, I
was wrong.
People keep saying, like, well, you know, you got to give us a chance. What?
Hey,
the fuck? What are you talking about?
Racism. Always.
What's that?
Always bet on racism.
Bet on racism.
Always bet on racism. That shit has a track record. Racism is Tyson at 21. It's just knocking everything in the fuck out.
I mean,
coming close.
And it shows up everywhere. You know, the NBA players decided that they were just going to fucking not play. The Bucks, in a weird bit of irony, I guess you could call it, the Milwaukee Bucks were scheduled to be the next NBA game that was going to be played. after this whole thing had happened, and they were like, nah, we ain't. The Orlando Magic were on the floor to play the game, warming up, and the Bucks were like, we're not coming. And then the Magic canceled, and then every other game for the last 2 days has been canceled. And even in this, you still see the racism pervade, because you got assholes like Jared Kushner, who has done nothing but take money from people of color over his entire professional career. Nothing but do that and lie about it. Come on TV and claim that these guys have the luxury to take a day off. Like, that's the whole reason the whole point of aspiring to greatness is so that you can use your platform to do some type of good in the world.
Yeah. Man, Jared Kushner is real punchable. Like, his face is so fucking punchable. Like, look, I'm not making a threat. This is not any kind of threat. I would not act on that.
No.
But, like, say 10 years from now when that nigga ain't got security and I'm in Manhattan and I see that nigga in the bar.
Right.
Square up, Jared.
Yeah, we might have to have a conversation, right? There might be we have to have a little discussion about something. Well, the NBA, it started with the Bucks, who I think did an amazing job of coming out, and like the statement that was read by the players who read that, and their reaction to that was strong. Seeing Doc Rivers really lay it out there, and struggle with this idea of the frustration I think a lot of us have, and the idea that it's hard to love like a place that consistently tries to show you they don't love you in return. And it's like I said earlier, it's like, we're sitting here trying to tell people about the experience that we have, or the way that we are dealing, what we're dealing with here. And people continue just trying to act like everything is fine, and we're just like more upset than we should be. And that every time they put up a picture of like Cannon Hinnant, or they want to talk about, oh, well, but it was white people who got killed there. It's an attempt to like minimize what's actually happening.
Yeah. To be a little bit light with this, you were talking about the Doc Rivers thing.
Yeah.
There were also Doc Rivers. There was Robert Horry also had a very touching moment. Kenny Jet Smith walked off set.
Yeah.
I think Chris Webber had a moment, and I was moved by all of them. All of them moved me. That's my real response.
Yeah.
My cynical side is, have you ever been to a black church where the old women try to praise Jesus each other? they felt Jesus just a little bit more.
Chris Webber's like, listen, what I gotta tell my kids.
Yeah. That's what Doc doing? Oh, that's what Doc's tearing up at? Doc's tearing up at the press conferences now?
Yeah.
I see what else. Robert Horry, they don't call me Big Shot Bob for nothing. Here come the waterworks, baby. Chris Webber's like, hell no, I'm getting this in me.
Chris Webber's like, I'm darker than Robert Horry. I could take this to a whole nother level.
And Chris Webber, look, much respect. Like I said, I'm just having fun, but I know Chris Webber shit was fake. This nigga don't even have sons. He's talking about his nephews. I gotta tell stories so I know. Nigga, get the fuck out of here.
Occasionally I run some kids on the street, and I gotta tell them how they gotta act in front of the kids.
I'm just kidding, yeah. Chris Webber's one of my
Target the other day, and I ran into some kids. Some baseball teams actually did some amazing stuff too. The Mets and the Marlins. Did you see that? The Mets and the Marlins game.
I didn't see. No. I didn't see.
So they took the field. The Mets and the Marlins had a game. I think it was last night. They took the field. The Mets were in the field. The Marlins, as they called the first batter up, all the players from the dugouts came out onto the foul lines basically and stood there, and they did a 42-second moment of silence because Jackie Robinson weekend is this weekend. It's actually this weekend. Okay. And so they stood there for a 42-second of silence, and then they both just walked off the field. And one player came out and put Black Lives Matter t-shirt over home plate, and they left it there.
Oh, shit. I missed that. Dude. That's dope.
It's cold. Like, it's like you sit there and you're in chills because the left fielder for the Mets was on TV the day before, like bawling his eyes out about everything that's been going on. And so, like, to watch this imagery, the WNBA players had T-shirts where they had the 7 bullet holes in the back and the movement on the front.
That was super groovy.
This is unprecedented in sports. That so many different sports have just now hockey's still playing, and we know why. But
they gave like moment of silence.
They feel bad. Yeah, they're like, oh, this is terrible.
they like, hey, we are really white, but we feel bad, so we're gonna do the thing, but we're gonna play. But we get you. We get you.
For the 7 guys in our league, we feel bad for y'all, and the rest of us.
Most of our fans are in Canada anyway, so.
Yeah, Czechoslovakia has like 3 black guys, and they treat them like everybody else. They just
like we support you and everything, but it's not, You're
just not our market share. We're not really.
Way more important. These games are way more important.
Trump has gone as far as calling the NBA political. Yeah.
I'll tell you one more thing related to the Mets. Back to the Mets.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear about the Mets GM?
No.
He got caught on a live mic talking shit about the commissioner of Major League Baseball to 2 other GMs. Basically, he literally says something like, hey, it's just us 3 here. Rob Manfred is shitty at his job, blah, blah, blah. And just like goes in on him hard into a live motherfucking mic. And it gets even crazier. The Mets ownership slammed him. They slammed their own GM.
Well, so that was the other part of this thing that happened. There was another part of the situation where there was a disagreement. So I was wondering what you were talking about, because there was a disagreement over who was taking blame. Somebody was in either Mets ownership or in baseball's office was trying to pitch the idea that they would have just left the field for an hour and then come back and played. And somebody was like, nah, nigga, you crazy. And so there's been part of what I was reading about when I saw the video of what happened is they were talking about there was like a misplacing of blame between what was going on between who and who. So that may have been part of that whole issue that was going on either before or after, which is pretty wild. It was the events of what happened in Kenosha really overshadowed everything that happened the rest of the week. I mean, I'm sure a ton of people watched the Republican convention, but it was really a backseat thing to what was going on elsewhere in the world.
I didn't see Thursday night's numbers, but up to this point, the DNC convention has outscored the RNC convention. They had 21 million. I think the high point for the Republicans was 19. And I heard that last night his numbers weren't great. 19 was Wednesday night. They said last night they think the numbers are going to come in lower than that. So
I don't know if anybody needs. I think a lot of people are kind of like, well, the crazy thing about his whole deal is he was originally advertising he was going to speak every night, which he did not. He only spoke like one night, and then he just showed up a couple of the others, and then he spoke last night. But there's been a lot of people who are like, the best thing that Donald Trump could do is have other people speak for Donald Trump.
But he's also even in the convention, the shit was a con. For instance, they kept bringing up this cop that got killed in Oakland, I believe, that he was guarding a pawn shop. They leave out the fact that he wasn't killed by Black Lives Matter people or rioters or Antifa. He was killed by a white supremacist. The guy was a fucking Trump supporter that killed him. Like, they're bringing up the fact that the cop got killed, but it was killed by a fucking Trump guy. And
it's that whole thing. It's again that like cutting off where I've been doing a lot of video editing, so this is real. But like where you decide to cut the edit on where you're going to either stop the story or start the story is a big deal in where you find the blame or who you are trying to position as the good guy or the bad guy in the story, right? Like if you start the story with, there's this guy up in Wisconsin and he was up there just trying to look out for anybody who needed help. And then some dude was chasing him around all night. And because you can open carry in Wisconsin, he shot him. You go, man, fuck that guy who is bugging him around all night. But if you start with the 17-year-old who isn't really legally allowed to carry in Wisconsin comes over the border, it becomes a totally different story, right? Like it's a.
Yeah. But also, there was another cop that got killed from St. Louis, I think, and they had his widow there, and she tells this sob story about what happened, which was a sad story. I'm not trying to shit on his death. Rest in peace, guy. But come to find out this morning, his daughters are like, yeah, that was our dad's husband. I mean, that was our dad's wife. She liked Trump. Dad hated Trump. In fact, he used to constantly talk about how much that the thing they couldn't talk about was politics because he couldn't stand Trump and he doesn't represent Trump. And stop using like everything they do is bullshit. Like everything they do is fucking bullshit. It's never the real thing. Like I watched part of that. I was like, damn, those stories are sad. Like, fuck, I hope this shit doesn't like.
Then you look some shit up.
And then as soon as you fucking like, I didn't even have to look it up. The funny thing is, this morning it was like it was on Twitter. It was like the story that like the daughter. And I had like the story was so moving. I didn't even know the daughter was coming out against Trump. It just said slaying officer's daughter speak out. And I was like, oh shit, there's more to that story. So I want to find out more. Right. That's the story. Turns out this was like, nah, our dad hated Trump.
Well, the other thing that was going on there is they were doing this like dual pitch where they would have like they were, the issue over the black vote is a thing that Trump likes to dabble in, but he doesn't really like to dabble in it to get more black voters because he knows that's just not going to happen, right? Like he may he may go from, if he's lucky, he may go from 8 to 8.5%, but he's not going to like. He's not going to. He's not going to
out of my mind if he goes up.
No, I'm not saying he will. I'm saying like the best he could, even at the greatest goal. You know what I mean? Like his goal at best should only be like maybe I can pull in like 7 more people. But like the reality is he doesn't trot out Tim Scott, Nikki Haley to try and convince black people he's saying the right thing. He trots them out so that white people who go, I don't know how he feels about this race shit, can go, oh, look, he's got black people and he's got this Indian lady. Look, she was a Secretary of State, right? Like like that could be, that's a thing. Like that's the thing that he's trying to trot out there. But the thing is, they sit there and they say America isn't racist, and then they sat there and they detailed times when people were being racist to them. They literally, I don't know if you heard Nikki Haley speak, but she literally goes, people saying that America is racist, that is a lie. And then she starts talking about how she was a little girl and how her dad wore a turban and her mom wore some other, and like she then details how she wasn't treated fair. It's like, what do you even Herschel Walker did that shit. Every black guy they tried out, and so they did this dual thing, right, where they wanted to trot out their diversity and who they had, but then they wanted to scare all the people that live in the suburbs about diversity. Right?
Hey, I'm gonna do a quick 30 seconds, man. Not even 30 seconds, like 25 seconds. Go. If you are a black person supporting Trump, eat all of my dick. Fuck you. You're a moron. You know what the last major dude that supported Trump did? He died. Yeah, Herman Cain. They didn't even mention him at the fucking convention. This motherfucker died supporting Trump.
No, they didn't.
He went to the first rally in the middle of the fucking pandemic, standing tall for this dude. He died, and this motherfucker didn't even get a mention at the fucking thing. And this is who you ride with. This is who you think is a good motherfucking guy. He didn't even think to do it. Like even if somehow there was an oversight. You don't stand like, hey, my man Herman Cain was here. If he was here, I know, but because this monster COVID got him.
He wouldn't though.
That's why I'm fighting to get this disease, because it took my friend Herman.
They wouldn't though, because then he'd have to admit that somebody close to him actually died from it. And they won't do that, man. They won't do it. And they tried out this bullshit. I posted up on my own personal page, but you can find it. The New York Times has The Daily. It's their daily podcast during the week. And they posted, they had an episode that covered the suburban strategy that Trump is dealing with now. And it was really neat because they start by talking about 1968 and where the world was and how like Martin Luther King had just been assassinated and all these riots are going on, and Bobby Kennedy gets assassinated and the riots are going crazy and they're all over. And that's when Daley in Chicago is the mayor, the dad, and he gives the order to like shoot all looters on sight. Like that was the thing that the mayor actually, the Democratic mayor of Chicago, by the way, said at one point. Yeah. To shoot all looters on sight. And so when Nixon comes in, it's with this big wave of law and order. And his whole message, this message about the silent majority, is a message to suburban white people who had escaped to the suburbs where redlining was happening to keep black people out. And it was this pitch that I will keep these people in the cities and I will be in this, I will protect you in the suburbs. We know that you are the ones who drive this country. And it was interesting because it's very much echoed in what Trump is talking about right now in his pitch to the suburbs. That pitch to the suburbs is the same pitch. It's the same pitch that they use in 68. And them cats that got Trump started are the same cats who were working for Nixon's people back in the day. It's just Bobby, the same shit.
Let me tell you something, Bobby. I don't like it, but it's a fucking catchy tune. They play that tune all the time. You know why they play that tune all the time? Because those motherfuckers hear it and they listen.
Well, the difficulty. Yeah, go ahead.
Here's what I said. I think I mentioned this earlier. I was listening to the liberal radio station, the liberal station here in Chicago. And if you did not know what the station was, you would have thought it was some far right shit with how they were describing people rioting and destroying property.
Yeah,
totally not one time mentioning that a dude got shot 7 times in the back. Right. All they were talking about, and these were people who were like, they were all giving the excuse of it makes me hard to support the Democrats. Like they basically sounded like it was a fucking ton of Trump people calling in to like sway, and maybe they were. I don't know, but I listened for like an hour.
No, so Black Lives Matter. The support for Black Lives Matter is really high in June, and it's dipped by a little bit.
You know why? Because they got fucking sports now. People got sports, and they can go to bars now. They got the distractions. There was nothing. They couldn't look away before, and now they can.
Yeah, that is the fight to get everything open, is to try and get something else going on and keep people busy so they won't go out and do that shit, right? That's part of what that process is to make that happen. But they're also, you see that the two things that are different now is, the two things that are at hand now is, one, you've got people who are a generation or two into that lie in the suburbs, right? Like a lot of the arguments you'll find on Facebook are with people who, my parents moved to the suburbs to get me a better life when I was 4, and I've lived here my whole life, and now I'm in my 40s or 50s or 60s, and I've lived in the suburbs this whole time, and they have this opinion on the city. And you'll always see it with these people who are like, well, I only go to the city for dinner every once in a while. I wouldn't be caught dead there overnight. And there's just that's that whole mentality that happens. The other issue, so those are idiots that he's pitching to.
The legitimate reason to hate the suburbs that people have here.
Yes. The other issue, though, is that the thing that has actually happened over the last 50 years is that the suburbs don't look like the suburbs did in 1968. The suburbs, I mean, you live in the suburbs.
Yeah.
And although we joke about you being like the only black guy in your subdivision, you're not the only. Aurora is a very black neighborhood. Yeah.
There's a lot of fact, I think there's a lot of black people, and I think I'm the brokest one.
Right. Yeah. And so
the reason why I didn't know of the other black people, they was hiding from me.
And so, there is this one part where there is now a percentage of black people who can be fooled in that same manner, right? They have money, they're in the suburbs, they're not those same black people that are in the city. There's definitely a suburban black person who feels that way, right? And for sure. And you can find a Trump voter or two in that situation, but
I'm related to one or two.
More real to the point, though, is there's a lot of people like you, and there's a lot of Indian Americans, and there's a lot of other people of color who live in the suburbs now who have, the whole change in 2018 was driven by suburban people, and also a lot of suburban white people who are become more liberal in seeing how the world has been working.
Hey, there's a whole subdivision. My area is so diverse now. There's a whole subdivision just like a half a mile from mine, maybe that Diwali, which is in traditional Indian holiday, is hopping at the end of October.
Yeah.
Like popping. I learned the holiday because that's how popping it is.
That's wild.
Yeah,
that's wild. That's a hot popping holiday. I want to leave out of here on some fun shit before we get going. DC Fandom was this past weekend. Did you watch any of that? Did you see it?
Yes, I did.
I know you're usually a Marvel guy. You're not so hot into.
Nah, there was some dope shit. The trailer for the Suicide Squad video game was probably my favorite one.
Yeah, that shit was good, man.
Yeah, that was so dope. I was like, oh, that is so fucking great.
I'm into King Shark. That's my shit right now. King Shark is my homie.
Yeah.
You saw the new Suicide Squad stuff they got coming? Did you watch any of that stuff?
Dude, I actually watched a lot of that by accident. I was cooking, and I think I was watching a trailer on my Google thingy, and it just kept going to all the DC stuff. And I watched this whole thing with all of the Suicide Squad talking about their characters, and they played like a game of which character was this and stuff. So it was actually pretty cool, man. And I'm excited for Suicide Squad and the movie Batman, and the video game, and
the Batman,
there was a couple other DC things that were super dope too. I can't remember, but
What'd you think of the new Batman?
I thought the Lego version was dope as fuck.
You and Drufke, man. You and Matt Drufke.
Dude, the Lego version was dope. The Lego
Matt Drufke
version
loves shout outs.
No, I'm talking about the Lego version of the new trailer.
Oh.
the Lego version.
Drufke tends to favor Lego Batman. So the movie's only 25% shot. They've only done like 25% of the movie before COVID hit. So they only had so much they could put out there. And I think there's a lot of confusion because there's that scene where he beats the shit out of that one dude. And people are like, oh, is this just going to be fucking beat everybody up Batman again? It's like, well, they're not going to make a Batman movie where he doesn't beat the shit out of somebody. Like, that's just going to be a thing that's got to happen. But also, I think the way, like, if it's only a second year.
Wait a second. It's going to be Mission Impossible where the world is in danger.
Right. Yeah. Well, the other part is, though, there's a version of Batman who's this incredible detective, right? And he's a crime solver. He's a guy. And so, like, but Reeves has already come out and said that's what this movie's supposed to be, is how he kind of evolves into becoming this world's greatest detective. This is a new Batman. But that means that guy's also got to teach Gotham that, like, you don't fuck around with me, right? Like, so there's going to have to be some ass whoopings laid down in the process. I think it's going to be fun. I'm excited to see it. He actually looks good in the role. I like it in the spot. Because it's Batman Year 2, he can play kind of a still tortured Bruce Wayne, so he can play kind of an emo-ish kind of version of him, which works.
Am I crazy, or does it feel like they almost took the Gotham universe a little bit with like the story arc, or am I just reading into that?
No, I wouldn't buy that at all, because the Riddler in the Gotham TV show started off as a guy who actually worked for Gotham PD and was like super calm. This guy looks like he is well calculated. He looks extremely well calculated.
Yeah, they said it was a different version of him. They also said that the Penguin is
Colin Farrell. Did you see him? Did you see him in the trailer?
Yeah. Yes. The makeup on that work.
He looks like Richard Kind.
He he does. He totally. Wow. It's interesting because Richard Kind has been in a Batman movie before.
I thought when I first saw it, I thought it was Paul Giamatti, but yeah.
I actually did think Richard Kind at first, and then Jamie Jirac, who does a lot of superhero stuff. You should follow her on Twitter. Actually, she's really good. She's done a whole bunch of stuff with Marvel, with like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., but she was following the trailer and everything, and she pointed out that it was Colin Farrell, and I was like, holy shit. Yeah, it's excellent. I can't wait for that to happen. I hope they can finish shooting it. It looks like it could be a good run. It's planned as a
Penguin's real name?
Oswald Cobblepot.
Cobblepot, that's what it is.
Yeah, that's it. He
doesn't like being called the Penguin at this version of him.
No, I like it. It's gonna be great. I think that's all we need to do for today, man. That was a fun. I think we've covered a lot of shit. Stay safe if you're in or around Kenosha. I drove by the other day and they had the exits blocked off, so you'll probably not be able to get there any regular route.
I'm not entering your state until this shit dies down substantially. I'm not even crossing the border, fam.
Yeah. Where can people find you online, buddy?
At XL Comedy, bang, right there. At XL Comedy.
Hey, look at that. You can find them there.
On Twitter, IG, and Facebook.
You can find me at mocha_Jesus on Twitter and Instagram. You can find my website at itsbobbyhill.com. You can find the new OGs at New OGs Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Go follow us on YouTube, subscribe, rate us over there. We're going to be airing shows there live, ideally starting next week. So we're going to have that going so you can catch those. We have midweek minis. You can find those only on YouTube. Find us everywhere else. Go to Solar Masters. Get to GoSolarMasters.com. Get yourself a free consult. Minority-owned business in Illinois, the only solar one of its kind. Get there. That's it for us. People of Comedy. Go to @People of Comedy, @People of Comedy Network. Find all their podcasts, see all the stuff they're going on. Support them. They help us put this whole thing together here. That's it for us. We're out.
Go ahead. Authentic Cut. Shout out Jack Corden out in LA.
Say you ballin', but not in my league. Yeah, whole lot of niggas changed since we came up. They can try to steal the moves, but they ain't us. Think you gang, but nigga, you a stranger. Bitches wanna fuck, but nigga, you can't blame us.